It's your boy Shaco here, and today I will be discussing my thoughts on the Season 4 patch notes. This video will cover almost all of the notes, and I will voice my ideals and opinions on them. Again, before you draw your digital swords and come after me because I say something you don't like, it's my opinion. Feel free to voice your own opinions. I love hearing others' thoughts because you can learn a lot from people. Unless they're a troll and you just get your feelings hurt. Anywho, we'll start with the change I am the most annoyed with. Ubisoft will be changing Nobushi's Blissful Rest feat into Second Wind. Now, I completely understand why they would opt to do this because from my own experience as a Nobu main, Blissful Rest was a very powerful feat. My gripe is that I recently made a 4v4 guide on her, and the next day I see that Blissful Rest is gone, which made my guide completely worthless, so a good 4 hours went down the drain, and a college student's time is his most cherished item. Even if it was called for, I can't agree with completely changing it. You see, several feats were busted at one point, like the Berserker feat from, the Valkyrie. While the feat was broken, Berserker still got to keep it, and even after the nerf, it's still strong, just not ridiculous as it once was. They should have nerfed the Blissful Rest rather than replacing it, since that's Nobushi's signature feat. At least that's what my Saltias has to say about the topic. Another feat that got nerfed was Valkyrie's Bloodlust. It will no longer proc on minions. For those who don't know, Bloodlust gives you bonuses to attack and defense for killing heroes. If that feat stacks, holy shit, good thing I didn't have to deal with Valks who exploited that. As for the Valk mains, you have my condolences. Valk is difficult to use in higher tiers, and a nerf rather than a buff must be infuriating. Wrapping up feats, they are no longer uninterruptible. Save a few like Second Wind and Stalwart Banner, you can now be cancelled out of feats. My concern with this is being stun locked by a gank and you won't be able to save yourself. That and will this trigger cooldown? If you're cancelled out of the feat, that would be really annoying if you were trying to use a feat like Smoke Bomb and then a stray attack hits you, especially from an ally main can say, good God help me. I already rage enough at dumb as it is. Another thing that they're canceling is bot grinding. How they're doing this is that all bots will now be level 3 by default. I like this because now sometimes someone rage quitting can be a good thing for the team. You can still grind against AI, just be ready to have all your inputs read. For those that practiced against bots, you can still fight lower leveled ones in quick match, so it's not the end of the world for you all, thankfully. Following that, we have some info on the new maps. The Viking map will be featured in Dominion, while the Samurai map will not. That is disappointing, especially with the zip lines being a big deal, but it will be really fun in skirmish at least. Now to discuss how they killed dodge rolling. They're not only increasing the stamina cost from 40 to 50, but also it will have no invulnerability frames, and it is also vulnerable to guard breaks. Now let's be real. People who roll away after every attack, I'm looking at you Peacekeeper mains, are very annoying to deal with. But good lord, Ubisoft, you went too far. Dodge rolling made ganking more manageable to deal with, and there's a certain Crusader who likes to utilize a 50-50, and you had to dodge roll out of it unless you were Nobushi.
You lost.
Yep, if you hate the Warden's Vortex, you're gonna be pissed to learn that you can no longer dodge roll out of it safely because it's vulnerable to a guard break. Ubisoft, you done goofed on this one. Now we'll be discussing how health regen got hit in the nuts. You know how in critical mode you can regen a bar of health by turtling or running away? Well, that's gone. Now critical mode is actually going to be more dangerous alongside the rate of minions killing you in 4v4. It also helps characters like Valkyrie, Peacekeeper, and Conqueror who don't do the most damage overall. However, what scares me is the bleed damage will also be more dangerous, especially since the Shaman gets off on blood pouring out of your stomach. And Peacekeepers and Shinobis will be more irritating to deal with, and us Nobushi mains will probably get more hate mail as well. This will make chip damage actually matter now since you can no longer just shrug it off. And I'm pretty sure the Shigoki mains here watching are going to love to hear this. Speaking of which, chip damage is increasing from 10% to 18%. Holy hell, people hate turtles and Ubisoft is listening. Of course, heavies will still be annoying, but they'll have to do more than just block. I mean, they can still parry non-stop, but the patch to nerf parries is still being tested, and Ubisoft has announced that a patch to nerf parries will be coming out during Season 4, so hopefully high tiers won't just be stare downs, they'll actually be fights. Moving on, the out of stamina indicator is being brought back. I love this since in the heat of the moment you may not notice that their stamina bar is empty. This will also point out the weakest one in a group of people, so now you'll know who to go after in skirmish or any group fight situation. Also out of stamina related, chains will now continue out of stamina. For example, Kensei's R1, R1, and R2 chain will continue even if the player blocks it. This alongside chip damage and health regen changes will make out of stamina hell on earth. My concern, though, is that the Centurion will have even more of an advantage in out of stamina, and will also make characters that drain your stamina even more of a nuisance to fight. I'm looking at you, Raiders. You're a bitch to deal with stampeding me in ganks and Dom. Relating to stampeding, sprint attacks now have acquired targets, which will increase their accuracy. This is also kind of a patch to ensure unlock texts don't happen again, so Cheesy McCheesyhead from the tournament won't make another appearance, hopefully. That guy's a dick. I enjoy this because sprinting attacks catch people that run. Alright, let me rephrase that. I love using sprint attacks to punish people who run like a little bitch when you kicking their ass and then they turn around and then they come at you when you start getting ganked. You can just chase after them. Well, now they're going to be more accurate so you can punish runners even more. I just hope that this doesn't apply to attacks like Stampede, Shield Charge, or Charge of the Oni, because yeah, that move is totally busted, right? I mean, I guess I can see why those moves would need a buff, so they could be used outside of 4v4, but I feel that making them always hit would just attract players that would run away and then use Stampede. Yes, I know that you can poke Raiders out of it, but do you want repeats of those two Raiders trying to Stampede each other? Those that watched that tournament that fell through know what I'm talking about. Speaking of annoying, Glad's recovery frames are being increased from 800 milliseconds to 900 milliseconds upon block. I like this because Glad has a massive move pool and calling for a nerf would require a lot of consideration. I think that this light tap will make him have to play a little more carefully, and it will make fighting him a little more doable. If you hate that, then don't play Valkyrie. She's legendary for her awful recovery frames. What's not legendary is anti-run. I do not know what this does exactly, so you'll have to excuse my ignorance. However, toggling between enemies activates anti-run now. Apparently, from what I was told, anti-run activates when someone tries to run in a duel. Their stamina is drained and the enemy gets a speed buff. Now, how this will activate and affect the game, I am unsure of, so if any of our viewers who do more than just leave dislikes and hurtful comments could tell me in the comment section, that would be splendid. Your comment will get a heart from yours truly. Sounds like a score, huh? Speaking of not giving a shit, Ubisoft announced that dedicated servers will not arrive on the launch of Season 4. Now before you go grab your torches, your pitchforks, and your makeshift grenade launchers, let me speak from the devil's advocate point of view. You see, while many believe that their servers are terrible, I have heard that several other titles like Destiny use the exact same PTP servers and had little to no connection issues. So to blame Ubisoft for cheaping out on us isn't entirely justifiable. Perhaps they believe that since For Honor had a max of players of 8 and Destiny max players being 16, they wouldn't have any issues. They also stated that changing the servers from PTP to dedicated is like replacing the engine of a car while it's running. Now, I don't know anything on servers and how they work, so I'm not going to criticize them, and neither should you unless you programmed and ran servers yourself. I'm not defending the lack of dedicated servers, so you can all revert out of Super Saiyan mode now. I'm just trying to be real on both sides. Speaking of being real, Smoke Bomb will now disrupt enemies capturing zones and people from reviving their allies. Holy shit, is it good to main a samurai? This will make the feat really powerful, adding to the many ways you can already use it. Hell, even Shigoki can find use for this feat now, and I've seen snails move faster than him. While this also interfered with my guide, I'm happy to know that Ubisoft didn't just randomly shoot at Nobushi, who I personally believe is mid-tier at best. But I'm still salty about that, so take that as you want. Speaking of more uses, you will now be able to have 4 executions with the other buttons being circle or B to activate them. Now, I'm pissed about this because now I gotta drop 12,000 more steel into Nobushi because Sting like a beast and Going for a Ride are really dope executions. Jokes aside, I like this, especially for characters like Centurion who have kick-ass executions. Maybe they can utilize a similar strategy for taunts and combat taunts in the future. Another thing that got extended was Wallbringer's range. Apparently people wanted a male Nobushi so bad, and Ubisoft finally caved and gave it to them. Jokes aside, I doubt this will change too much. It'll just make the Wallbringer matchup more difficult, which I'm totally not looking forward to. Lastly, I'll discuss the training arena mode. This feature will allow you to train in more ways. If you'd like to practice parrying, deflecting, or hopefully specific moves like hitting stance and utilizing the Highlander stances, then you can now... Then you'll now not have to get your ass pulverized over 9,000 times to get it down. This is great, especially for the newer players that the game will be bringing. That's right, For Honor will be free to play from November 9th to the 12th, and you get 5k steel for playing 5 matches with newer players, apparently. This also helps in learning new characters, so if you ever want to feel like William Wallace, you may not have to go through the struggles most Highlanders do when starting out. Now, before I leave off, there were some minor changes I left out, like dual and brawl locations being edited or new gear and stuff for tribute mode. But I left all those out because they were rather trivial and we don't know anything about tribute mode, so how can we have an opinion on it? Some final minor changes that they are adding is the nerf on stamina cost reduction gear stat, and some more weapon sets for all the post-season 4, the pre-season 4 heroes. Ubisoft has announced new executions and the confirmation of Season 5. If you'd like to see where I got all these notes, I'll leave a link down in the description. Until then, until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, peace! Also, I'm maining on Marusha because people are already crying about him.